I've had an Orange CR120 for years, but it's solid state, and that gives me a bad case of FOMO. We're going to find out if that FOMO is justified together today, right here on GearGasms. Hi everybody, welcome to GearGasms. I'm your host, Alan Barnes. Today in the studio, courtesy of my friends at zZounds, I have the Orange TH30 all-tube amplifier, 2 channels. Now I already have the Orange CR120, so I'm curious. I got a bad case of FOMO. I'm going to tell you all a little bit more about that FOMO in just a second, but first, if you're new to the channel, I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe. This channel is kind of like Redbox. How far out in the middle of fucking Loserville do you have to live to where you're still using Redbox? Celebrate mediocrity. FOMO, in case you don't know, it means fear of missing out. And I always kind of liked the orange sound. I didn't love it. It wasn't my favorite top choice, but I wanted that sound. I wanted that palette of colors, if you will. And I was very happy with it. I felt like I was getting that orange sound. I really like the high gain sounds. It takes pedals well. The clean is really, really nice. The built-in reverb is nice. I like everything about it. That FOMO thing. I'm like, do I really have the orange sound? Now, what is the orange sound? I don't know. It's like saying, what is the Fender sound? What is the Marshall sound? I don't know. You have your idea of what the orange sound is. I have no idea what the orange sound is. That's why I have a YouTube channel. Now, in my opinion, the TH30 is kind of like the Marshall DSL. It's a Chinese-made version of a British amp. You save a little money that way. Currently, the Super Crush 100 is $499. This one is $1199. So $500 versus $1,200. They're both made in China. So this isn't a demo of the TH30. This isn't really a shootout. I'm not sure what the hell it is, but there will be no B-roll. And let's get right into it. Today's rig feels like an SG. It just seemed like it was appropriate to do with the orange. It felt like a duh selection. Straight in, it's running through my board, and the reason is the TH30 doesn't have reverb, and the Crush Pro does. Plus, I want to use the effects loops later on. So we have Ocean's 11 for reverb, everything. Both heads are going to be going through the exact same speaker cabinet with a Sennheiser 906E. I mean, obviously EQ is going to be maybe a little different, and certainly gain and channel volume are going to be different between the two. So I'm going to try to use my ears to come up with something that I think sounds equivalent from channel to channel. So what I'm going to do is just try and play the same thing back and forth, and then I'm going to switch cables. That's how we're going to do it, rather than do a whole setup and then switch, because the microphone could move, all kinds of different things could happen. I obviously could forget what I played because of all them cannabinoids. Bridge pickup of the SG. And now the switch. I'm going to show you all this first time so you know what I'm going through. Won't make you do it every time. I have pre-marked everything in the back, like the effects loops, ins and outs, so I can easily go pow, pow, pow. Now, we put this guy on full power. We're not doing any of the half-C bullshit. Reach around. Now, I haven't heard this at all. Obviously. Oh. Remember them cannabinoids I told you about? It always helps to plug in. I don't hear any difference. Is it warmer? Let's Let's try this, we'll try the middle. Sometimes the middle pickup, middle position brings out a little more warmth. Sometimes. It actually feels like there's a little less treble here than there's a little less sparkle, which is surprising to me because if you just said, you know, all else being the same, ceteris paribus, I would have thought that the solid state would be a little brighter. Now real quick, while we're still on this clean channel, I want to just throw a couple dirt pedals at the front of it to see what it'll do. We are going to be using the Tube Screamer with the gain all the way down, the Tube Screamer trick, volume all the way up. And also the King of Drive, which is a King of Tone clone. So our bass tone. Step on the Screamer. Bass tone. Let's hit real quick with the King of Tone. On to the dirt. All right, for this segment, again, I just want to remind everybody, this isn't a shootout. It's an A-B comparison of sorts, but I'm just trying to find out if my FOMO that I've been suffering ever since I got a solid state orange amp, I want to find out if it's legit. So now we're on the dirty side. Now, key difference between these two amps. This you got here, it's got a shape. Down below, we got the standard 3-band EQ. So there's going to be a little difference. I'll have to futz a little bit. Again, I'm going to try and dial up equivalent tones. And we're only going to do 2 gain levels on this here. We're not going to keep it crazy. We're going to do this, and then we're going to do balls to the wall. This is kind of your standard classic rock tone, would you say? All right, already we know it's chock full of that honest to goodness AC/DC orange tone. All right, so I'll do that same very unmusical thing on the other side. Of course I hear a difference, of course I do. I feel like I like the sound out of the big boy, the tube a little more at this gain range, I gotta admit. Try to EQ them the same. So let's do Tube Screamer. All right, let's hear that before and after. Now, I don't want to jump to all my end of the video conclusions this early. Oh my gosh, there was a huge difference in how it took that tube screamer. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, let's have some fun. All right, that was Tube Screamer. Let's do it again with the King of Drive. We're back on the Orange Crush. Now we'll try it with the King of Drive. We're about to get heavy. Switching again, like we did last summer. It's Tube Screamer time. So just kind of like in the Partly Dirty, it takes the Tube Screamer better. That's so. Let's try the King of Tone. King of Drive. And what I just did is I switched to the hot side of the King of Drive. All right, so we were going to try it with the King of Drive. First we'll go over to this. We'll get this just with the softer side of the King of Drive. Now let's give it the King of Drive, the hot side. Well, what did we learn today? We learned that on the clean tones, the CR120 and the TH30 were pretty close. We also learned that on that same clean channel and you started to apply pedals to it to overdrive the front end, those differences started to grow a little bit. You could hear the difference. And finally, we learned that when it came to the high gain stuff, with or without pedals, there was a huge difference in the room. I don't know how it's going to sound in editing, but in the room, there was a noticeable difference. Once again, thanking my friends at zZounds for loaning me this TH30. Why am I doing air quotes? I liked it so much more than the CR120 that if I still like it that much in editing, I'm gonna buy it. As always, I thank you for the time that you spend with the channel. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Come on, word of mouth. You have no idea how important it is. You got a mouth, right? You can make words with it. You got some stupid friends with really low standards and maybe a lot of time on their hands. Send them to GearGasms. They're perfect. You can buy a t-shirt, a coffee mug, a pillow, or even a tank top if you'd like to support the channel. Link will be in the description. Whatever you do in the next 7 days, don't tell Courtney Love about it unless she agrees to stop storing her tampons in Kurt's empty shotgun shells. You don't even get your period anymore, Courtney.
Crazy fool.
It's a problem at TSA. But play more guitar, watch less of this, and keep coming back here week after week for more GearGasms.